America, in case you haven't been watching, is in a virtual wrestling match over gun control, pitting compassion for gun victims against the passion of gun owners. From the White House to state houses across the nation, the debate now rages over how to legislate a change in America's gun culture that makes the nation safer without trampling on the rights of those who insist on self-protection. Political psychologist Dr. Bart Rossi joins us to bring some clarification to the debate. Thanks for joining us today.
Nice to be with you, Brian.
Why is it so difficult to find a common sense, common ground on this?
Well, I think it's really important, and I feel as a psychologist that it's not a good time to take rights away from people. The psychology of taking rights away from folks is not a good thing. So the Second Amendment is there, and I think some people are very, very sensitive about the Second Amendment. So the president really, I think, has the right approach. He needs to have a balanced approach where he can take a look at preserving the rights of those folks who want to purchase a weapon, but at the same time, he needs to do something about assault weapons and magazines that with 50 or 100 bullets. But that's easier said than done, because what happens is you have people on the far right that are very, very into weapons. They're very much into guns. And some on the extreme are really beyond just guns. It's about their biases, their prejudice, and guns kind of give them a self-esteem, a feeling of power. And to get through to those folks is going to be very tough, obviously.
You know, you mentioned something interesting. The NRA has couched this in the realm of the Second Amendment.
Right.
You know, we're looking at the funerals of 20 children and
right.
teachers, the anniversary of the attack
right.
that wounded the Congresswoman.
Sure.
And yet the NRA has distanced itself and its campaign for firearms away from those things and to the Second Amendment. They keep going back to that. Does that help or hurt this whole effort?
I think it hurts. I think that the NRA has really not projected themselves well. I think psychologically they're giving themselves a poor image in the public, because what's happened is the Second Amendment was written many years ago. Our forefathers were not thinking about automatic weapons or semi-automatic weapons. We weren't into that kind of thought then. So the Second Amendment preserves certain rights, but it doesn't necessarily preserve rights for weapons of mass destruction, you know, of assault weapons where people can be killed so easily. So I think that really the NRA is not projecting themselves very well at all.
So let's talk about the issue of mental health. That's been played up here, that the people who commit these kinds of crimes often are people who need mental health assistance, but at the same time, these are guns that were bought legally. And at some point, people on the other side say, well, you have to limit the access to those kinds of weapons. But how big does this mental health picture play?
Well, it's the most important factor, probably, because here's what's happening. The profile of the shooter is not someone who has really been in a psych hospital or been arrested. Really, these are folks who have rage and anger, and they're mad at the world, okay? So they take it out, okay? So they're out there. They're in the public specter.
Could be any of us.
Yeah, you know folks, I know folks that are pretty unstable characters. And with those individuals having assault weapons, it of course makes us all nervous. So mental health is really important. And I'm hoping that the Vice President has made recommendations where mental health can now be looked at in middle school, high school, where kids and parents can actually see what psychologists do in terms of cognitive behavioral approaches that help people. That would make a difference, perhaps.
You know, you were talking a moment ago about this rage on the far right. There's a group, rock group called Rage Against the Machine, and I wonder if it's that mentality among people on the far right, this rage against the government for whatever reason, whether they don't like the president or just don't like the government, that has fueled this kind of fervor that I'm going to have my gun no matter what.
And I think it's very unfortunate, because there are many, many gun owners that are responsible people. Most gun owners are not going to go out and shoot anybody, that's for sure. But these on the extreme fringe really have a thing, as you say, for the government. They think that their rights are going to be usurped. They think that everything's going to be taken away from them. So therefore, they have these views that are so far out there that it really makes it difficult to compromise.
You think that there is some resolution available?
I think the president has a lot of good cards to play. And I think it's going to be really easy for him to look good in this whole thing, but it's not going to be easy to get an actual law passed. I think it's going to be hard.
Dr. Bart Rossi, thanks for joining us. We'll see how it plays out.
Nice to meet you.